the conditioning that got us to this point in time and space has not been one of saying, well, hold on, just think for a moment, where's this thought come from? Where does this feeling come from, this emotion? Physical feeling, well, if you stub your toe, then you know where the feeling came from. But if anxiety creeps up on you, where did that come from? And I've been in and out this country a lot over the past few years. And it was getting a bit tiresome. Not only was it becoming tiresome, this feeling, but it's creating huge problems in the body. Because every time you support, you identify, you energize one of these particular emotions, the chemicals in the body are quite destructive. And they take a long time to stabilize. Research done about people who experience road rage. If you go into road rage, they found that it takes up to 6 hours for those chemicals to leave the body. 6 hours of poisoning the body. The person who cut you off or took your parking spot doesn't even know you exist. They haven't poisoned their body for 6 hours. You have poisoned your body for 6 hours because you got upset with someone, which really means that you've got in your backpack a lot of anger, a lot of pressure, a lot of charge that's building, and then it just takes something to trigger it. And in this case, someone on the road. But it could be someone in the office. It could be someone in relationship. All of the time, the pressure builds like a car battery. Keep putting pressure in, keep putting charge into the battery. It builds and builds and builds. Gets to the point where the battery starts to dry out, gets hot, and eventually it explodes. And that's the explosion. That's when we express anger, desire, anxiety, whatever, because it's all of this information that we store, that we hold, and because we're civilized, we don't express all of the time. Some countries are better at not expressing than other countries. Some countries internalize all of their emotions. The countries that internalize all of their emotions create sickness in the body, because this pressure is not being released. The pressure doesn't need to be identified with in the first place. I mean, this is the issue. This is the key to the work, this non-identification. A friend of mine in Australia, his wife used to go to anger management workshops. Every year, she would go off and get in touch for a week or two with all of her anger. I don't know about her father, me, the Wicked Witch of the North. And you'd feel the anger and you'd express it, and you'd sort of tear up telephone books and scream into pillows, and you go out in gangs at night and beat up grannies and as you're getting all of this aggression out, right? And after a week of this process, or 2 weeks, you're exhausted. There's no anger left. Well, that worked, huh? And you go home and everything's cool for a month. But then the pressure starts to build again. So the year later, you go back to your anger management and oh, hello, you're back again. All right. The gang's all here. Let's get in touch. Go and beat some grannies up. Let's go and work this stuff out. So then we think anger's a problem that has to be managed or released. Charge has to be released. Well, of course, if we've got charge, then we need to release the charge. But anger or anxiety is not the problem. It's the continued identification with anger, with anxiety, that's the problem. So through my own journey of experiencing lots and lots of anxiety, I eventually came to the place where I could say, this is just anxiety. It's not mine, it's not who I am. It is just the feeling of anxiety. Even though my body may have conditioned itself over many, many years to react and go into anxiety, so the more I've conditioned myself over the years, the more likely I am to react the less opportunity I have to respond to situations. So I tend to react a lot. I'm reacting without awareness. It just happens. My body has no point where it can say, hold on a minute, this is a reaction going into anxiety, it's not mine, it's not who I am. It just happens. So then I'm totally, truly a victim to my past. I just react to situations in life. When I started to work on that, I actually did a bunch of conscious work around anxiety, or my identification with it, in Australia, and then I came back into the country. Admittedly, when I came back through Hawaii, and they were, and so there was less anxiety there than there is in some other places where you come back into this country. But I'd done the work, and they were, welcome back, welcome home, how are you? Enjoy your holiday? Whoa, this is different. No little room with no windows. It was quite the opposite, very friendly, very open. What had changed? Immigration? I doubt it. Me, because I'm no longer quite so reactive to that feeling, and I don't identify so strongly with the feeling. More recently, we've come back in through Dallas, breeze. Come back in through Calgary. You go through immigration in Calgary before you come into Seattle. Absolutely fine. Very easy, very comfortable, very, very different. And this is all me changing. It's not everybody else changing. So now, of course, what happens is that I come back in, and I'm standing there, and I notice when anxiety arises. You're standing in the queue, and you can sort of feel anxiety. Ooh, here we go again. This is the feeling of anxiety. And you look around and you see a guy just flown in from Colombia, a couple of suitcases, white powder leaking out the edges. This guy may have a reason to be anxious. Huh? I don't. No white powder on me. And so I don't have to take that feeling personally. I say, oh, this is a feeling of anxiety. I know what it feels like. I've been there before, been there, done that. This is a feeling of anxiety, but it is not mine. When I can say it's not mine, not my feeling, what happens is that the brain stops making those old familiar connections. The neurons sort of start to struggle to find a different way of connecting. It takes a little bit of practice because they're so conditioned to go, ooh, reaction. Bang, immediately they do that, they produce the neuropeptides, hypothalamus, amino acids. I buy into it, take them personally, I become anxious. But now, of course, I'm sort of saying, oh, well, this is a feeling of anxiety, not mine. And in the non-identification, the process of non-identification with the emotion, my brain stops producing the chemicals. So I've shut the factory down. The brain stops producing the chemicals, the feeling of anxiety doesn't grow in the body, but gradually falls away. So there's no anxiety left. Still around you, there's still anxious people generating, amplifying anxiety, but it is not yours. It can't be yours. Just because your body reacts in an intense way to an emotion is not indicative of ownership of that emotion. It's just stuff happening. And when you stop identifying with it, you can let it go. Very, very important. Not just for this clearing work, not just as the foundation for the clearing, but for any journey in life, no matter what you do, no matter what experience you happen to find yourself in, if you can develop this, most of the challenges, most of the discomfort, most of the problems will just stop manifesting because they're no longer who you are on a cellular level. It's only while you continue to support and maintain certain ways of being that you perpetuate those states. You keep energizing. And this becomes much more subtle. This, when you get it, is still like kindergarten. You're still just learning a different way to be in the world. But when you start to understand it and you start to change who you are on a cellular level, you start to experience the benefits of that change in the world around you, then you really start to see what's going on, and then the world is a very, very different place, and can be a very different place. It can't be different if you come from the old model. If you try and make everybody happy in the old model, not possible, because we're fractured. We're all different aspects of the divine manifesting, all with associating with different points of view. This is right, this is wrong, this is better, this is worse. I'm right, you're wrong. This party is better than that party. This religion is right, your religion is wrong. Conflict is guaranteed. So when you're working with this, whenever you begin to notice what's going on, that's when you really begin to stop identifying with the particular feeling. And it takes a bit of practice at first, which is why in the workshops we develop the partnership, of being in partnership with someone, of sitting, noticing, and letting go.